Humans, what have you learned? I was programmed to beat you. Same mistakes. I was programmed to beat you. Humans, what have you learned? I was programmed to beat you. have you learned? I was programmed to beat you. Mistakes. I was programmed to beat you. Humans, what have you learned? I was programmed to beat you. Mistakes. I was programmed to beat you. have you learned? Programmed to beat you. Mistakes. I was programmed to beat you. Humans, what have you learned? I was programmed to beat you.
But here we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. Hello, 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 and welcome back to FRLT Tier 2. Yes, we return once again, and this time it is time for the finale here in Spain. Yes, we come to Spain, round 11, the finale of the season, as you can see on our calendar. We've now done Italy, Bahrain, Azerbaijan, Qatar, Netherlands, Great Britain, Canada, Las Vegas, Austria, and China. And now, I know the dates don't sync up fully, but now, for the final race of FRLT Season 2, Tier 2, we come to Spain, the last hurdle, the last barrier to end the season, and here we go. We're going to be seeing it in the next few moments, but let's bring up the track map next. Ultimately, here it is, 4.657 kilometers, 2.893 miles, 14 turns, 2 DRS zones, ultimately down the pit straight and down the back straight. Of course, some of the best corners have come, like the round hairpin of turn 10 and turn 1 and turn 2, showing as a great overtaking opportunity. Now, looking to the standings, POR currently lead by 35 points over XPG in the constructor standings, followed by ETU shortly, just 2 points further behind. LR pulled themselves up to 4th in the constructors after China with a P2 and P5 finish, bringing them ahead of VMV, SCT and IFE, and of course ABE Academy, who mostly went without points, that group. Now it is time to get into the qualifying, as we have now gotten started, as you can see out on the screen, and we have our first car out on track, and that first car is ultimately the man of none other than Kuchars, who is now out on his lap. As he makes his way round on his out lap, he's currently got those intermediate tyres on, testing the track slowly. Got some more cars coming out on track. We've got 3 more. That's Jedi Bergmer, Alfie, and Tallow, who are all out on track at the moment. Of course, POR wanting to secure the constructor's title here tonight. The driver's title will also be updated after tonight, because at the moment we haven't got the updates for that right now. We don't have the updates for that right now on the standings. We don't. I apologize for the pause screen, because it's not wanting to go. My apologies. The pause screen was not wanting to leave me. Ultimately, we're going to see Kuchars. He's going to set a lap on intermediates, that is. Let's ride on board with the Alpine. Heading down into turn 1. He goes, throwing the car in. Of course, I know this isn't going to be a full lap, but at least he makes his way throughout the first 3 corners. The long right hand of turn 3. Using overtake now to go up towards turn 4. Before that, you end off sector 1, 22.338. Nothing that great for a set lap. As he makes his way around turn 4, now into turn 5 he goes. He's got to throw the car in. A bit of struggle there with turn 5. Now up into turn 6 and 7. The little double corner. This is a double corner, turn 6 and 7. Now up towards turn 8. And he throws it in through turn 8 or 9, that is. Ultimately throwing the car through then the hairpin. Very nice through there. Once again now throwing it up the hill once again. And coming over this small crest, you can bump over the curb. You're going to be watching out for that now through the double right-hander. Flat out normally on tyres. Or near on flat out. Just makes his way around. As he sets a 1 minute 14.824 for his first lap. And the first lap of the session, I believe we're looking to Tallow, who's making his way round next. For ETE, they need a strong evening. They want to beat XPG in the Constructors. XPG has only brought Z6 to the table this week, so it could be in their hands as Tallow goes fastest, beaten by JD Bergsma, who goes a lot faster, another 6/10 faster. And onto provisional pole, the McLaren showing some pace. That's immediately beaten by Z6 in P2. Alfie slots in P4. Kuchar's slowest out there, of course, at the moment. We now look to Impact, who's making his way round. Or there's a Red Bull that's on an outlap, actually. There's a Red Bull on an outlap in this session. Making his way round with some pace. going to be pretty interesting to see how these guys are going to do as they make their way around. With some speed. Impact. VMV need a big evening. They want to get back in front of LR currently in the Constructors, which is going to be a pretty difficult one, I must say, is to get in front in the Constructors. I think this is always going to be a difficult part, is getting back in front. VMV haven't been on form as of late. They've struggled lately, you know, only bringing, I believe it was, they didn't bring any points last race, or I think they might have brought 1 point last race, but they didn't bring a big points haul that they needed. But we can see Impact is going round with some speed as he's going to cross the line. He will go P4, exactly what VMV were looking for here tonight, exactly what they needed. We've actually got Casanova, who's coming up to the line next. AMG just went is P3 as Casanova just slots behind his teammate, slightly behind his teammate, 10th and a half behind as he goes into P6. We've also had another driver join, Toucan, who used to be part of TIR, of course, at the start of the season. You might have seen him. He's now part, by the way, of course, the team of LR. Just to make that clear to you guys, he is part of LR now. We've had 10 drivers set a lap. We got one on a lap at the moment. That's SCT Nissan. He needs a big evening tonight. SCT needing it. They want to pull up closer in the Constructors. They want to do a little bit better than they've done all season long. Definitely one of the weaker teams this season. Hopefully things will improve going into this final race. Maybe a shake-up in the Constructors. We could be seeing many places change. ABE Academy, especially on a run at the moment. P1 and P3. This would currently net them a massive P3 in the P2, mixing up my words, P4 in the Constructors, sorry. As SCT Nissan crosses the line, he goes P8. That's what 2/10 will do to you. It will really drop you down the order. Not the strongest from SCT. They haven't had a strong campaign so far. It's been up and down from them throughout. I mean, it's nothing to talk about. I'm not trying to, let me be clear here, I'm not trying to be rude or mean to any team. Their campaign hasn't really been anything to boast about, I should really say. It's been a bit of an up and down kind of season for them. They've never really come out as the leaders in anything, I must say. They've not really come out as the leaders or the strongest. Currently, they sit 6th in the Constructors ahead of IFE and AB Academy after that finish in China, which ultimately did bring them a few more points ahead. They're only ahead because they've been in the season longer. They've been in every single race this season compared to IFE and ABE Academy, who haven't, by the way. I just want to make that clear. They haven't been in this throughout. So that's one of the reasons why some teams are doing some things, others aren't. Trying to figure out who's going to be on the lap next. It is going to be the man of Cinquiz, who is going to be on a lap. Let's ride on board with him as he heads down towards the first few corners. Let's see how he's going to take the first few corners. Actually, scrap that. I want to look at another man, the man of Obuth, who has by far been one of the strongest in out of all of the drivers. Toucan retires because of a qualifying ban, of course. But when I look at POR, they very much look like they're going to be undefeatable in this final race. 35-point lead in the Constructors. XPG haven't brought a lot to the table. Yeah, Z6 currently sits on that front row, but he's sitting 4.5 tenths over that behind the current provisional pole sitter of JD Bergsma. So a win looks like to be out of the count. Kuchar's didn't set a good first lap. He really struggled on his first run. That's really hurt him in the end. He's still in the pits right now. But that's really hurt him in his qualifying. They needed a bit of a stronger one, a bit of a stronger run. You can see Obuth heading around the final corner now. He's throwing everything he's got at it. Let's see, is it going to be strong? Is it going to be a difficult one? It is going to be a difficult one. Obuth not really putting together a successful lap. Only a 1 minute 12.3. Sets in P10. We said about this POR last week. And how they were having some struggles. How they struggled when they needed to get those points. And they needed to get the Constructors' position last week around in China. How the race didn't particularly fall their way exactly. it's really difficult to sum up their campaign. It's surprisingly difficult how to sum up their campaign, especially, dominant, kind of sitting there. ETE have been very dominant. I think everybody can agree on that. That, you can't say that ETE haven't been strong in their campaign. It's one of those sort of mixed scenarios where sort of many drivers have been good, some drivers have been bad. Yeah, we're going to have to, of course, see as qualifying goes on. But to be honest, not a lot of drivers putting together better laps. I mean, Sinquis couldn't really do it on his run. I think we got Alfie making his way around, though. IFE need a big evening here tonight. They need a... Whoa, there's a flag, and that's because JD Bergsman's hit into the pit entry wall. What is going on? What is going on here? I have absolutely... Holy. That's all I've got to say is holy. We're going to see Impact on another lap. He's improving by a 10th in his first sector. Let's see how he can keep that up heading through the middle sector. He's got to keep that up because at the moment he improves by a 10th. He's going to currently find himself in P2 at the moment and on the front row. He's up by a 10th and a half, so that is going to put him on the front row of the grid. Incredibly strong at the moment from the team of VMV. They need this strong finish to their season. Let's see how these guys can do around the final corner. VMV need this big finish. They're P5 and P6 at the moment. Big points could be walking their way. And he does go P2 and he goes into 11.7. Puts him on the front row of the grid. What a strong qualifying from VMV at the moment. Obuth also improves. He finds P7. Again, literally a 10th will send him to P3. This mid-pack in front of the pack, also Micromash, by the way, got to call out an IFE driver of Micromash, not only outperforming his teammate by a mile, but also up in P5, exactly what IFE need. Impact, though, on that front row, that's a really big one to take. I believe the man of Casanova is currently on a flying run, or I think he might have just backed off now. I think he has backed off. As Kuchars, by the way, puts in an astonishing lap. He goes P2 and onto the front row. Only the second driver in qualifying to get below an 11.5 and into the 1 minute 11.4s. And he is now closest to JD Bergsma, 89 thousandths behind the McLaren and the ABE Academy driver. Very interesting, but that's exactly what POR needs. Being ahead of XPG, being ahead of VMV, and being mostly, and probably the biggest thing is being ahead of ET, because they haven't got Geordie this week. They've only got Sinquiz and Tallow. Tallow hasn't shown the best of pace out of all of the ETE drivers that have competed this season. Geordie has by far been probably the strongest ETE driver, stats-wise, qualifying-wise, and race-wise. He has been the strongest. I can actually confirm that. As I've seen him. So that's going to be something to look at. Definitely something to look at. So maybe POR, have they taken the constructors early? Or is there still something to come? And definitely, I'd say there's still something to come on the way. I think we just saw SCT Toby cross the line. He went P12. Not too bad from Toby, but still SCT... The form that they had at one point has not returned to them since. Rafina also in P9. LR not putting together best of nights. P9 and P15 at the moment. It looks like their chances of possibly being in fourth in the constructors might have just slipped away just based off of this qualifying so far. So I think this is going to be an important phase of the race, I must say. And the important phase, of course, is the race. But what I mean is the qualifying can affect the race so heavily, especially around Spain. It can affect your race quite heavily, and so near on, basically, qualifying can at many points be near on as important as the race. Like for instance, around Monaco, many would agree. But here tonight around Spain, how this track is, I'd also agree with this track. But nobody is out on track. Everybody is in the pits, by the way. Everybody's returned to the pits. The man of JD Bergsma in the ABE Academy in that McLaren, of course, sitting in the pit lane. He's waiting to get going for his final run. 3 minutes and nearly about 3 minutes and 20 seconds now sit left on the clock for this final qualifying here in Tier 2. This is going to be very interesting to see where the drivers will go, what the drivers will do, and what can they pull out of these final runs. Could it be an ABE Academy pole position to finish off the season? Could it be a victory for them, the long-awaited victory? But a team has pulled the trigger. One team has pulled the trigger, and it is actually VMV, and it's specifically VMV Impact who's pulled the trigger early at 2 minutes and about 58 seconds, because he has just come out of the pit lane and he's making his way down the straight now. And we're gonna watch him now. Game a little bit glitchy, but we're gonna watch him now as he makes his way around. But it's so interesting to see how VMV are, even though they're higher up the pack, you'd expect another team, maybe SET or even ET at this point, to pull the trigger. They haven't. It's VMV who are leading this final run, who want to get around the track. But remember, Impact can't go too quickly. He's got to wait a bit for as many cars to come out of the pits, but also get far enough into their lap. That's what he's got to do. And there's already 2, 4, 5... It looks like there's going to be about 6 cars out on track at the moment. Yeah, 6 cars have just exited the pit lane, so they're all on outlaps. There's another 3 cars. I can see another 3 cars coming down the pit lane. That's joined by a 4th. We're going to have pretty much almost the entire grid out for laps now, including his teammate, who could be the last one to actually come out. So here he goes. Impact, let's ride on board on the Mercedes car. Let's see from this camera angle. Let's see what he can do. Opening the rear wing with the DRS, crossing the line. Impact, of course, he's chasing that pole position. He's chasing that front row. That is what VMV need tonight. They need to get that P4 in the constructors. They think they deserve it. And I think every team in this close midfield battle thinks they deserve it. But as it stands, we might just be seeing AB Academy just pull out in front in that battle. 23,000's up at the moment in the first sector. That could lock him in on the second row of the grid, on the third place position. But he's had a bit of a slide. That 27,000s or 23,000s might be disappearing away quite quickly. Now heading down into the next section. Up the hill he goes. Now going past one car, he's got his own teammate to give him a little bit of a tow. I've said about this many times. Holy Jesus. Oh! Almost contact. Alpine is in the way. And Alpine is in the way. Every car is in the way. And a McLaren that was as well. I think that was AMG or JD Bergsma who was in the way. We'll have to figure out as they come round. But Impact not getting away from that lightly. That was a huge moment for him. That's probably lost him time. And let's see as he crosses the line. Does he improve? He does improve by just 25,000s. But it's not enough. It is not enough at all for the man himself. And I think he's going to be a bit frustrated with that lap. We've got Tallow coming round. He's currently a 10th down on his lap. AMG is retired. He's actually had a crash through turn 1. And that's disappointment. And so, same for JD Bergsma. He's had the same. And that is all disappointment coming down here. Here comes Obuth. He's done with his session. That's more disappointment for them. Oh my god. The crashing is crazy. SET Nissan's improving. He's going to go P7. Demoting POR another place further down. I think we're going to have Alfie crossing the line next. He doesn't improve on his lap. Sinqueeze does improve on his lap. He goes to P6. Z6 can't. He finishes P4 in the session. And that's some disappointment there for him. Kuchars is up by over 1/10 of a second with JD Bergsma out of qualifying. Can Kuchars take pole position? He might be on his way to do that. Could AB Academy have just lost a pole position to end off the season, starting on that front position? Kuchars crosses the line and takes pole position here in FRLT Tier 2 for the finale in Spain. Rafina goes into P3, and that is a strong qualifying from him last minute. Ultimately, VMV go P4 and P5. It's some disappointment. Sinqueeze is now P8, Tallow P12, and that is everybody. And it is this man. It is this man specifically, Kuchars, who is on pole position for POR and Neron confirming their Constructors title victory because Z6 is down in P6 and ETE are nowhere to be seen. What a crazy end to qualifying, I must say. I have no words for what has just happened here tonight. Absolutely no words. Qualifying close as ever. So, let's go through the qualifying order for tonight's race. Kucharz is on pole position for POR as they try to seal their Constructors' Championship. JD Bergsma is second, followed by Rafinha, Casanova, VMV Impact, Z6, AMG, Sinqueeze, Micromash, and SET Nissan to round out the top 10. Obooth is 11th, followed by Tallow, Toby, Alfie, and Toucan, who ultimately had a qualifying ban. Absolute craziness going on here tonight. Look at this. Look at these three. They're all within 1,000th. I've just noticed this. They're all within 1,000th of each other. Oh my god. Holy the pace. The pace is crazy. Ultimately, drivers will be readying up in about 4 minutes time. Readying up in about 3.5 minutes. Allowing drivers to get their setup right. Have some time to settle in. Ready for the beginning of this race here tonight. We've got a long race to go. I believe it's 32 or 33 laps. Tonight's going to be very interesting to see how the drivers will react and how the drivers will race against each other. Of course, now POR hunting their Constructors' Championship here tonight, and that is something that I don't think many teams will be able to stop. So, let's figure out who is in a title battle at the moment. Most of the grid actually is. We do have, of course, 3 teams that are still in the title battle. POR, XPG, and ETE. But based off of qualifying, POR might have just sealed their Constructors' Championship. But the battle between LR, VMV, SCT, IFE, and ABE Academy is still on. They're just 26 points apart. Yes, 26 points apart. That's all that they're apart at the moment, is 26 points. So the battle is really going to come down here, and especially with ABE Academy's qualifying, these guys could be heading up to easily. I could see them easily getting 6th. I think SET tonight might have just found themselves out of the battle a bit. Maybe LR, but I would say Rafinha up there in P3 could hold on to that 4th in the Constructors, but I could see ABE Academy smashing at least 6th in the Constructors after tonight. Maybe VMV might get in the way, but VMV have got to be consistent all throughout. They've got to be consistent. Let's see how these guys are going to do. I believe drivers are going to be readying up in the next minute or so. Looking at how everybody is doing. There's a lot to do here tonight. There's a lot to do for all the teams. POR wanting to hunt their title. So the drivers will be ready in the next few moments to get racing here in Spain for one final time. For one final time this season. These drivers will be racing here. We'll be seeing this also on Sunday for 4s. Make sure to go and watch us there. Make sure to go and leave a like and subscribe. Let's see. this end of the season. Let's make it as good as possible. Drivers should be readying up in the next minute or so. About a minute, about less than that actually. In the next few seconds, they should be readying up. This is going to be exciting to see how these guys are going to do for one final time this season. I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited at home as well. And I can hear the lights. We're about to get going. Here we go. We are getting going. Now we are. Here we are. We're going to see the lights coming up. 3, 4, 5 red lights. And away we go here in Spain for FRLT Tier 2 in Season 2 for the finale in Spain. It's a great start for some drivers. Kuchar's getting away exactly what he needed to get away from the grid at the moment. Now as he makes his way through Turn 1, you can see JD Bergsma gaining some places. He's fighting his way up into P2. He's trying to hold on to his position at the moment. Now as they make their way around at high speed, Kuchar's continues to lead. He's actually got a really good start, already 4 tenths away from the rest of the pack. There's some racing further back. We can see AMG having a bit of a battle with VMV Impact. VMV, you're not getting the best of starts. Now into the next corner they go. Oh, Impact going very deep. Oh, quite a bit of contact with both VMV drivers now. And Aston Martin has to go off. That Z6 who's dropping through the order very quickly. And there's a lot of racing going on. Jumping over the curb. Oh, that's a Ferrari. That's a Ferrari of Toby, who ultimately goes round through the left-hander. Now into the next corner, it's Kuchar's versus JD Bergsma, and this is all the battling that is going on. It is at the moment POR ABE Academy versus LR. Everything is on for a battle here tonight. And now heading round the final corner, Kuchar's will lead the whole of the first lap. We've had that in near on every single race this season. Not every single Tier 1 race, but in most of them we have had it. I believe in the 11 we have had, we've ultimately had 8 times. The race leader has stayed the same off of the start, off of the first lap, but did change after lap 4. That's when we've seen the change lead the most. In 8 of those, not exactly the same races, but still in 8 of the races after lap 4, the lead has changed. And that is Alfie dropping down the order. He's had a spin out of turn 3. More disappointment for IFE here tonight. Them not looking like they're going to be chasing a promotion in championship order. It looks like they're going to be staying the same most likely here tonight. So some disappointment going on there for them. Not everything going perfect. Of course, Obuth now making his way up into P12, and Sinquiz goes off actually. He's down to P14. That allows Obuth up inside of the top 12, but he finds himself quite far behind every other driver. I think he got caught up in some of that battling off of lap 1, and I think he might have lost that. He lost out very heavily here. He's now chasing the back of the pack just for P11 at the moment, so it's not even a points position that he's chasing. Kuchar's continues to lead as he makes his way down the pit straight. But you can see LR, the man of Rafina, trying to get in there on a battle. Heading into turn 1. Still side by side. Still making their way through it. Still side by side. And ultimately, JD Bergsma defends that position. But will there be a report because of being pushed off track? But here comes Rafina once again. He's making the move down the inside. JD Bergsma, a bit of contact off of the rear. These two are really fighting for it. I think they both know the win is out of their chance now, is out of contention, so they're both going for it just to fight for the podium, to fight for P2 here. Who's going to have to drop behind? Into the next corner, spin, a half spin for Rafina. Almost VMV drivers going off the track. There's actually damage. I believe that was a piece of front wing that's come off of JD Bergsma, and it is. And it is. He's letting cars by. I think that is his race over. I think he sees it as that is his race over, and he is done here tonight. I think that might be, yeah, because he's let almost everybody by. This could be already our first retirement of the night and the first disappointment. AB Academy's night just going from pretty decent to pretty bad already as he's going to pull into the pits. Is he going to be retiring? I think he will be retiring from this race, and our first retirement of the final race of the season. And that is ultimately it for JD Bergsma, and that is almost it for AB Academy. They failed to finish one race with both drivers, by the way, I believe, in this entire season. Kuchar's, by the way, now leads by an honourable 2 seconds, which is growing lap on lap. So give it some time, and we'll be seeing it fall in very, very soon. Let's see a big change. AB Academy, yeah, they've only finished twice with both drivers, 2 or 3 times. My apologies. They've actually finished a few times with both drivers, but disappointment in the end. Pretty disappointing though for ABE, of course. It all falling apart. They haven't had the best of luck in Tier 1. They're down in, I believe it is 3rd place in the Constructors at the moment in Tier 1 for their for ABE, and ABE Academy currently sitting in P2 as Sinquis also retires, and that is a safety car. It is a safety car. I think that was a crash that happened between Sinquis and the AI of JD Bergsma, but you can see Kuchars is coming into the pits. Who's going to go in? Who is going to stay out? Who is staying out? Kuchars gets a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Holy. Very interesting to see there. And that ultimately means he looks like he might be out of race-winning contention here tonight. But of course, it is a safety car rather early on in tonight's race. But still, it means everybody's bunched up. And unless he gets a 10-second lead or others get penalties behind him, this might be a very difficult night. But the only 2 drivers to stay out is ultimately Rafina and Obuth. The only 2 to stay out and not go into the pits for the hard tyres. But Kuchars is the first driver to fall victim of not only the pit lane, but of penalties here tonight. Well, I just realised something. I was looking for a second. Sorry for my silence. But I was looking for a second about something because I saw something was going on. Ultimately, by my calculations, because there was only one XPG driver, means they can't win the title because they're 35 points behind. They could only score 26. And there's now only one ETE driver. That now means POR are the FRLT Season 2 Tier 2 Constructors Champions. I can confirm it right now. They are the champions. I was having to double check it, but they are now the champions, the Constructors Champions of Tier 2. I will also post who is the Drivers Champion, because I haven't updated the driver standings in a long time, and please do forgive me for that, but I've been very busy the last few weeks, and I've also gone back to college, so I'm a little bit busy. So, ultimately, even with that, safety car is out. We're on lap 6. I think we're going to get going on lap 7. Yeah, POR are now your Season 2, Tier 2 champions here tonight. That is crazy. That is genuinely crazy. I have no words for that. Amazing. Just amazing. Amazing driving from POR throughout the season to claim the title. Craziness. Because if you're wondering how the maths maybe stacks up, it's because you could only score 25 points as a driver. And the closest team was 35 points behind. So, with that, ultimately means we get to walk away with a massive amount of points. But the safety car is in this lap. We get to walk away with our champions very early on in today's race. But now it is Rafina to lead. He's going to get going quite early, actually, getting a bit of a lead ahead. But he doesn't get a good final corner. He actually had a really bad final corner, losing about a 10th through there alone. But now he's going to use his ERS down straight, as now AMG makes his move up into P3. Kuchar's just went down to P12. Did he have a spin? I don't know. I looked away for a minute and I haven't seen him since. Okay, that's a bit interesting. But now there goes AMG. By the way, as it currently stands, AMG will take the lead of this race. So AB Academy might still be in a chance to win tonight's race. They're currently still in the chance to lead tonight's race. So the battle is now between AB Academy, VMV, and IFE. This is incredibly interesting now. This has gotten really interesting because now there's a three-way battle. But AMG is pulling away quite nicely away from Impact, but he is struggling a bit through the fast right-hander. So, don't mind the safety car up in the top left. It's a game glitch. I don't know how to fix it. It doesn't really want to work. Fixing it, I've tried. I'll try and figure out how to fix it, hopefully one day. So, as we continue to watch drivers come around, see on board with AMG, there's been an incident. That's Alfie, who's had another spin to fill his evening here tonight. As now he makes his way down the hill into the turn one. Down the hill, very slightly, bit of a dip. It's a little bit of a hill, a bit of a downwards hill, but now making his way around through turn 3 he goes. We're watching on board with McLaren. Alfie now retired. IFE's chances of gaining constructors' positions near on disappearing by each moment. Casanova having a moment. Casanova's dropping down the order quite heavily. He's just dropped down to P12. VMV's day not being perfect. Oh, that's Kuchar's! He's in the wall. He's out. He's out. It is another safety car, but Kuchar's is out. Ooh. Kuchar's is out. That still means POR are the Constructors' Champions. But at the moment, this isn't a way they want to be going out the season with. They want to go out with a victory. They want to go out with a bang. At the moment, that's not how they are going. And now I think we're going to see Obuth and Rafina come into the pits to get a bit newer tyres on. And I think we're going to see them come into the pits now. Obuth is staying out. He's staying out. He feels like the mediums are still good enough. So he's going to be staying out a lot longer. So I guess that's going to be committing to the long strategy. Let's just remind you of the standings quickly, just for a moment, at the drivers' drive round the track. POR lead by 35 points over XPG, which makes POR officially the Constructors' Champion. But at the moment, the battle is all on between LR, VMV, SEC, IFE, and ABE Academy over that big place of 4th in the Constructors. Anything could change at the moment, but the favourites to take that is ultimately the team of VMV, although VMV Casanova, by the way, has just retired from the session. He's just retired. So he's like, I'm done. I'm done with this race, which means we've now had 5 retirements and a third of the grid is gone. Only 10 drivers remain. It is the final race, so let's see how this final race will go. Only 9 laps in as well. The fact that we've near on had a retirement every 2 laps is pretty crazy. Pretty crazy, I must say. So we're going to be waiting as they go round. I don't think the safety car is going to come in this lap. I think they're going to keep going round. Safety car wants to come in now. I don't think it is going to come in now. I think we're going to be going round for one more lap here at Spain of this lovely race here for round 11 of FRLT Tier 2 in Season 2 at Circuit de Catalunya. One of the tracks I've always found rather interesting, I must say. Always one of the tracks I've found rather interesting ones to drive. And for me, I personally like the track. I personally do like the track. Versus, for instance, some other tracks. Monaco, or even, I actually enjoy Monaco, but versus some other tracks like Miami, or Las Vegas, or even, yeah, I'm going to call this out, and this is going to be a big one, but even like Azerbaijan, I don't like them. So, you know, for Spain, I do quite enjoy it. It's quite a nice track to drive, actually. It can be frustrating, but it's one of the nicer tracks to drive. I enjoy it a lot. Still, even then, we'll have to see. So we're going to be watching as the safety car goes round, and I think the safety car should be going in this lap. As the safety car is now going in this lap, let's see how these drivers are going to go. Booth is leading it. He's the only driver yet to pit in this race. Let's see how will POR take this. They know they've won the Constructors. Let's see how they will take these final few corners. And then the final 22 laps of Tier 2 to remain. Final hurdle. And Obooth has actually gotten away. He's actually gotten away very well. Doing quite well there to stay ahead of AMG. But will AMG be able to close up or not as we go on to lap 11 and a third of the way into tonight's race? As now they head into turn 1 they go. No battles, no dive bombs for the moment. Everybody keeping it clean and keeping it going through the first sector. Very nice, of course. Obooth yet to pit, but he is driving quite nicely on this first lap going again. Exactly what you like to be seeing. But you can see VMV Impact struggling a bit, battling with the car slightly. He's actually got Z6 for company now, and he's dived it down the inside of AMG. It's actually going 3 wide towards the next corner. They will go. Oh, contact everywhere. That's damage. Ultimately for that man. Oh, there's more damage. There's more contact. There's more craziness going on. And I think that's Rafinha with some damage on his front wing. No, it isn't. Actually, he's gotten away quite nicely. Who is it that has damage? I don't think anybody has damage. But AMG walking away from it pretty badly. And that could spell the end of the day for ABE Academy and the end of their title charge. Oh, and there's a spin out of the final corner. Oh, and there's... Oh, my God. Oh, my God. What is going on here today? What is going on? I have no clue for what is going on here tonight. Holy. But we now return our eyes to the lead. AMG now retires from the session, leaving us with just 9 drivers now remaining. This race. I don't have many words for it. But Obooth now leads by over a second now. Osme 9/10 behind, 9/10 in the lead now. That's just come below. No idea for how these guys can't race side by side or drive. Holy. I mean, no. I don't particularly want to say this on stream, but I don't think anybody's going to be getting medals for driving standards here tonight. I don't think anybody's particularly going to be getting a trophy or anything. As now Obooth crosses the line, he continues his lead, although that is about halved as soon as we get to about the end of the straight, so he's really lost a lot of the lead that he did have, so he has to really build that up during the rest of the lap. So clearly those mediums are still holding on for dear life against, for instance, the hard tyres that aren't really being able to get past the Alpine at the moment. You can see all these drivers behind, all 7 drivers sitting incredibly close to each other. Please don't go side by side. You guys all seem to crash today. Every time I've seen somebody go side by side, they have crashed with each other. So I'm pleading, please don't go side by side with each other unless it's a straight. But there's not even a point in me saying if it's a straight, because they crashed on a straight. Oh my God. I'm sorry. This is one of the times that I'm generally struggling not to laugh slightly. It's a real struggle. Try not to laugh because this is not what I had. I had a dream about how this final race would go. But not like this, as Z6 now takes the lead of the race away from Obuth. Here comes now the man of Impact. Down the inside he goes. 2 cars are going to get past. Ultimately, the Alpine, and there goes Z6 now off into the lead. Obuth lost 2 last time round on the straight. He didn't lose any positions now. He's lost 2 places on a single straight, so those tyres are really now giving up on him, and you can see he's dropping back further and further. Things just aren't getting any better for him. So some disappointment there for, of course, POR, hoping for a much better evening than they are currently having. As Rafina puts in the fastest lap, the new fastest lap of the race, a 14.4 is what's set by Rafina. I must say, it's interesting to see... It's interesting to see how the drivers are coping with how the track goes, because there isn't a huge amount of opportunity for overtakes. You got the pit straight, you got sort of turn 1, turn 2, you got sort of turn 4 and turn 6, and maybe the hairpin. But then that's really it. There's not a lot of places on this track where you can realistically overtake, because Nissan's now trying to make the move for P3, and he does make that move work, and SCT onto the podium, so they actually could be jumping ahead of VMV, or they could be getting ahead of LR here tonight. Who knows? At the moment, they'll jump ahead of LR in the Constructors. So this night is going really weirdly for some teams. Some teams, through all of the chaos, teams like SCT are walking away with massive points because of this. They're walking away with massive points. It's just shocking, and we've got some side-by-side action. Toucan and Micromash. Nobody's gone well through these corners, but they do go well this time, and they do race rather nicely. But Toucan does have damage on his front wing. I'm not sure whether that was from just now or from a few minutes ago. So, we now look and we continue to watch as drivers make their way round. Z6 now almost 8.5 tenths in the lead of this race as they lead onto lap 16. Micromash gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. First penalty for track limits this race. Only 9 drivers remaining out of the 15 we started with, which is very... Ultimately, it's going to be a rather interesting night once again here in Tier 2. We've had a few interesting nights as of late. I think many people know this season has been interesting here and there. But ultimately, I'm going to try and figure everything out. As drivers now make their way round incredibly quickly. Let's see what they can do into the next part of the lap. Z6 still leads here on lap 16, although his lead is decreasing very slightly. It's down by about 1/10 from the last lap, by the way. It's down 1/10 at the moment, so he is struggling a little bit for the lead. Yeah, it's come down by about 1/10 from last lap. Even less than that now. It's actually about the same. So he isn't particularly gaining or losing a lot at the moment. So Z6 is putting together a very good sort of cornering as Toucan now takes P4 away from Tallow. Obuth chasing closely behind. Still, I'm shocked that Obuth has actually been able to keep up on those tyres. There's actually going to be some racing for P5. Ultimately, Obuth's tyres do give up on him in the end, and he's down to P7. He was P6. Absolute crazy amounts of just racing going on, to be honest. Crazy amounts of racing. For VMV here, they're sitting in a good place, 18 points. As it stands, that won't overtake them past LR, but they will hold on to 5th in the Constructors. So they do have that. XPG will also hold on to second in the constructors. I think really first, second, and third really confirmed, along with fourth at the moment, also confirmed in the constructors, and I think VMV confirming that fifth place. AB Academy, I think, are going to sit. Of course, they're going to stay where they are at the moment, really till second to last at the moment in the constructors. I believe that's eighth they're sitting in the constructors at the moment. So now VMV is going to get overtaken. The man of impact gets overtaken by Nissan, but it's going to be a triple overtake, almost 3 wide, and into turn 1 they go, racing over the curbs. So, all right, racing there, but Nissan now takes the lead, and for the first time in God knows how long, I don't think I've even said this in Tier 2, but it is SET who take the lead of this race, and it's not because they have pitted earlier, it's not because they have had a safety car and they've pitted earlier, or they've had an incident. They've generally taken the lead of the race on the same strategy as others, and I don't think I've said that all season. I don't think I have said that once this season. So I must say that is it's an interesting one to see today. I must say it's one of the interesting races I think we're seeing. As the race continues to go round, it's going to be an interesting one because it's now kind of these top 3 against each other: SET, XPG, and VMV. The team sitting 2nd, 5th, and 6th in the constructors at the moment. Maybe SET could, at the moment, they'll overtake VMV. Not now, but if Nissan wins this race, along with Toby, they might just win. They might just take 4th. They might just take 5th in the constructors, at just ahead of VMV. IFE will confirm, I think, they're 7th in the constructors. Already 2 teams, SET, the SET that got moved up into Tier 1, ultimately have confirmed they will sit 9th and last in the constructors after racing just 3 races. AB Academy also confirmed they'll be finishing in 8th in the constructors here tonight. POR also confirming they are, of course, the constructors champion, along with 2nd in the constructors. Pretty much they know they're going to finish 2nd, along with, of course, at the moment, ETE, who are going to finish 3rd at worst. And same for XPG, the worst they can finish is 3rd in the constructors, but at the moment on their way for 2nd in the constructors. LR also on their way for that as well, as Nissan retakes the lead of the race. He jumps over the curb and gets a 3-second time penalty, actually, and that's now going to send him outside of that contention barrier and could send him down to P4 at the moment. That's where he could sit at the end of this race, as P4, but needs to keep building this lead as we're on lap 20 of 33. We're slowly approaching, making our way past the 2nd and 3rd of this race, which will be very interesting to see as this race continues to go on. Final race of the season. I must say, I'm slightly sad to see it come to an end for this season at the moment. Our 2nd season of racing, of course. It's always disappointing to see, a tier or a season come to an end. And it is Tier 2 coming to an end, but it has still been one of the best and most interesting seasons I've had. It's been incredibly interesting that the title has still come down to the final race. You know, the fact that it has still come down to the final race in the season is still really good. And here, we're still looking at 3 teams who, I believe, are yet to win a race. And that's XPG, SET, and VMV, who VMV have won a race. SET, I don't believe, have won a race. I don't believe they have. I think it is SET and XPG who both haven't won. I'll double check this quickly because I don't want to get it wrong. SET won a race? SET haven't won a race. Have XPG won a race? XPG have won a race. XPG have won one, and I believe VMV also won a race. Yes, they did. So it's just SET who haven't won a race out of these 3. But it's still that battle going on, it's still that battle going on of the, there's a team in here that haven't really had an attempt at a podium or a victory. Tonight they're getting their attempt. XPG hunting their second win. VMV also hunting their second victory of the season to at least end the season out with another win. Of course, I also have the new calendar that's out, but I don't currently have it on me, sadly, for the stream, which is, I know, a bit sad, but we will have it, I think, for Sunday. We should have it. If you guys want to know what it is, make sure to come and join the Discord server down below. Currently, the calendar is out. The dates have also been released with the calendar. Just like this season, we'll be starting with Tier 1, then Tier 2, and then 4s. We'll have a continuation of our 3 tiers that we had from last season. So nothing will change for next season at the moment. There's some rule changes, some other things, but altogether, as a whole, not a lot is changing on that side of things. Tallow currently leading this group from 4th down to 6th. These 3 drivers all sort of racing reasonably on their own, pretty much. You know, they're kind of on their own, these 3. Of course, we've got Oboof, Toby, and Rafina on their own as well. And then we've got the top 3 all battling it out, while Z6 is slowly pulling a bigger lead. But the minute they get to this pit straight, that lead completely collapses down, and there's practically no lead by the end of the straight. But it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers are going to come onto these last 10 laps. Final 10 laps, by the way, of Tier 2. Who's going to win here? Let me know down below. Who do you think is going to win? Do you think Z6 is going to win for XPG? Do you think VMV is going to take and win this season? Do you think Nissan might get a bit lucky and get that P3 and ultimately get that win and that P5 in the Constructors they've been waiting for all season long? Please let me know, because it is important. I know it's going to be quite difficult for Nissan, but he's got to at least try to get that win. But still, he's going to take a podium. At worst, he's still going to take a podium, and that's still going to be another 15 points in SCT's pocket. And they will finish 6th in the Constructors, but it's still 6th in the Constructors, to be honest. And you see they're actually going to lap a car. For the first time, by the way. First time this season in Tier 2, a car is getting lapped. We've not really had it before. It's quite a rare thing as Nissan dives down the inside of Impact to take P2. A little bit of battling. Them just going, it's easier for me to overtake than wait behind. But I must say, it's calmed down a bit more since the beginning of the race, but definitely something to look into. It's very interesting to see how some of these drivers are doing and how some of these teams do. You could see they've come into this final race and they've been like, we need to get this. You know, we need to get these points, or we need to get this or that. But I must say it's quite interesting to see that this is this has come round. You know. I think that's going to be the thing. You know, you've seen how the teams are kind of almost hungry to win to get their positions in the Constructors. You saw POR, they didn't have the best. They didn't have the best of qualifyings that they've had, but they've still carried on to fight. You know, Oboof. You know, he's currently looking at now possibly P6 in this race. So, he could straight up finish this race in P6. He could finish, realistically, he could finish this race in P6. He could take those 8 points and go, look at us, we still got a points finish to end off the season. It's the same with pretty much every single team, to be honest. To be fair, it's pretty much the same with every single team that we've seen into this final race. They've all taken their chances. AB Academy taking their chances a little bit too much. And of course, losing both drivers in this race. The only team to have a flat-out double DNF here tonight. Every other team near on making it to the end. Only 2 teams are going to finish tonight with their full lineup, and that's SET and LR, who are both finishing with their full lineup of 2 drivers each. Which is disappointing, of course. But now, SET Nissan retakes the lead of the race. The laps are coming down. Rather quickly in this race, I must say. Alarmingly quickly. Because the lap isn't too long around this track, I must say. The lap isn't very long. This race has been calm, though. This race has been nice and calm. There was a lot of action earlier, but we've had a bit more of a calm race since. Hopefully, we could see it continue to stay like that. So, Toby now takes the fastest lap of the race. Very fast from him. So Toby just took the fast lap. Tukan, by the way, on fresh, soft tyres, he's chasing down Obuth at the moment. He's chasing down Obuth in this race. Will he catch Obuth in time? I'm not 100% sure whether he will. I'm really not sure whether he will. If I was being completely honest, I wouldn't be sure. He is putting in fast sectors, but will he catch Obuth? He has just caught him by, half a second in the final sector. But is that enough on the final few laps of the race? It might be, it might be. It really might be. He's gaining by about 1.5, about 2, as you see there, 2 seconds faster than his personal best, but he's gaining by about 1.5 seconds a lap, maybe 2 seconds a lap. So he might just catch at the end of the race, but his soft tyres will start to go off by then. And he is running out of ERS at the same time. So his pushing might not be as strong. And especially in the first sector, he won't be gaining as much time from the first sector alone. You can see he's only gained about 2-3 tenths in the first sector. So it's quite a difficult one for him to actually gain time in. But you can see that time is still dropping dramatically. Huge amounts that time is dropping. We saw the last lap round. Obuth was already through this right-hander by the time Tukan had already gotten round the left-hander. So it's, the time is really coming down, and Obuth is just getting chased down more and more. Not a lot close, not as close as he would have wanted to be. He's gained about another 1.5 seconds, so he's definitely not gaining as much as he did the previous lap. So he's not gaining as much time, and we're going to see as he comes down onto the straight, you can see he's only gained about 1.3 seconds since the start of the last lap. It was 8 tenths slower that lap, by the way. That's how much slower it was, 8 tenths slower. That's why he gained over 2 seconds. He's only about 1.3 seconds faster this lap alone, but he's already gained another 3 tenths through the first few corners. He's now gaining more and more and more. Just gaining a lot in this race at the moment. But we return our eyes to the lead. Rafina now retires, leaving LR with just 1 driver left on for 6 points. Z6 making his way round. He now leads by over a second, by the way. Biggest lead we've had all race is by over a second. And he's leading it. He wants an XPG victory to finish off their season here in Tier 2. As they hope to return to Tier 1, by the way, next season. That's their hope, is to return to Tier 1. That is their hope for next season, to return to Tier 1 and push as hard as they can to do as much as they want. There is a change to the Tier 1 and Tier 2 formats. Next season, Tier 2 will be Academy, and Tier 1 will be main team, so it will be specific to those. And I can confirm XPG has signed up for both. Some teams, like AMS, some teams like AMS and CIE won't be competing in the Academy format next season, only in the main team format, which is interesting, and that's That isn't Tukin. I thought that was Tukin. That was Athena's AI pulling up on the side. But you can see Z6 not gaining a lot. He's gained maybe about a tenth, maybe 2/10 from last lap. He's not gaining as much as he was, but he's finding some pace in these final few laps to get away with what he needs to do. So we're going to roll on to the final 4 laps of this race remaining. 4 whole laps left of this race. And of Tier 2. 4 laps remaining. The laps are being counted down slowly as SET Nissan goes up into P2. Watching our race leader at the moment make his way round. The first sector in the Aston Martin, XPG, looking for their second victory of the season. It looked like it could have been going SET's way to finish off their season with a victory. Ultimately, it's not. It was looking like VMV could be getting a second victory to their campaign. And so, but it looks like XPG will be the one taking the victory, and it will be specifically Z6, man who's so-called a few times been underperforming. By I believe one of my colleagues earlier in the season, he was said to be underperforming from his teammates. But now Z6 has stepped up for the final race. He's going to take, at the moment, he's on his way to take the victory here tonight and do what only one other person could do throughout the season. And one of his teammates could do throughout the season is get that victory. He's only going to be the second XPG driver to do it throughout Tier 2. But XPG looking to return to Tier 1 next season. They're hoping for the return. They're hoping they can make it. Qualifiers, of course, will be happening very soon. I can confirm qualifiers for the main championship will be taking place on the 8th. Specifically on the 8th of October. So make sure to stick around for that. Of course, I know it's not very long. I know it's only about, 29 days from now. So it's, it's less than a month. I know it's less than a month. It's only about 29 days. 28 days until we get to the qualifiers after, of course, this race. The format will be announced to all of the drivers and teams, of course, first, and then closest to the time we will announce the format for our tier on social media. So on Twitter, so make sure to go and follow us on Twitter because we'll be announcing the specific teams and lobbies and everything for it. We've had a lot of interest this season. We've definitely got more interest coming. But yeah, it's looking like it could be a really interesting season this time round. To be honest, looks like it could really be an interesting one. Lots of teams interested in racing in our Tier 2 for Academy next season. Let's see how these teams are going to do. 2 laps remaining, slowly coming down to about 1.5 very soon. As Z6 makes his way through the lap, he now leads by 2 seconds in the lead. Looks like XPG might have just fixed up a victory in the final race of the season. And of course we know one team has taken it away. The man of Obuth and POR have sealed their Constructors' Championship in the final race of the season. 35 points. All they needed was one XPG not to turn up, and in which one XPG driver didn't turn up. And of course there was a retirement from Sinqueeze, which stopped ETE from winning the title either. So ultimately that left POR with an easy championship victory for them just to finish the race. They didn't even have to finish. They knew they had won. But Z6 now on his way round the final lap of Tier 2. Let's watch him as he makes his way around. He's finished the sector. Only 2 sectors. Only 2 sectors left for Z6 to conquer, to ultimately come out of the season in second in the Constructors, to near on conquer the season. They couldn't beat POR in the end, but they didn't need to because they beat their rivals ETE, and they took a victory in the final race. They took 2 wins across the season, which is less than ETE did, and shows their average performance has been better and their average points has been higher across the season. They've also had less retirements from XPG than ETE, but only now 2 corners left for Z6 to win and to claim the ultimate crown and trophy in the final race to take the victory and end off the season. Z6 wins in Spain in FRLT Tier 2 in the finale of round 11. It is XPG victory, VMV Impact P2 and SET Nissan finishes on the podium ultimately in the end, and it is a nice podium for SET to hold on to their place of 6th in the Constructors. As you can see, that is going to be our finishing order after tonight. That is our finishing order, by the way, after tonight. Obuth will finish 7th, and Toby will finish 8th in this race, but he's very far behind. So that is the race, and that is all over. So, that is that. Tier 2. Tier 2, all done and dusted. Everything done and dusted for Tier 2. That is that. That is everything. That's the tier done for the season. A little bit disappointed, of course, to see it as the final race. But we do have just 3 more races of Season 2 left. We've got 4s this week, this Sunday. Make sure to join us for the finale for 4s. And then next week and the week after, we will be having our final 2 Tier 1 races to finish off Season 2 fully here in FRLT. Ultimately, thank you so much to everybody for watching and supporting the channel and supporting the league. Thank you to the drivers, the managers here in Tier 2. It's been absolutely amazing for you guys. It's been amazing from you guys, I should really say. Without you guys, we couldn't have much racing. Thank you to all my co-commentators and just everybody and moderators and everybody in general. Helped the league so much, and really, it really does mean a lot to me. Ultimately, it's been a very interesting one. And even though I have to say goodbye, and I have to say goodbye to Tier 2 for this season, it's been incredibly enjoyable. Congratulations to POR on the title here in Tier 2. I hope everybody has an amazing week. And let's just do a quick little recap of what we've gone over this season in the calendar. In Italy, we of course saw the dominance of ETE. They took home the ultimate thing of course, a win in the opening race. They took the victory in the opening race of the season in Monza, which was such a big thing, of course. We then went to Bahrain, where we saw SET, the old SET that was dominating, win there. Then we went to Baku, where we saw LR take their victory this season. We then saw POR's first victory come up in Qatar. Ultimately, we then saw the team of VMV take their victory in the Netherlands. This was then followed by IFE winning in Great Britain. Then XPG would ultimately take the victory in Canada, with then the third place team of ETE winning at the track of Las Vegas, and then of course Austria. Last race we saw POR win once again in China, taking just their 2nd victory of the season, and although a win looked possible for ABE Academy, it didn't come out, as ultimately now it will be XPG to take the victory in the final race in Spain. Ultimately, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great week. Please think about subscribing and leaving a like. Also, click on that notification bell to know about all the content and all the shorts and everything we'll be uploading. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys very soon. Goodbye. Sundays, but here we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights.
Thank you.